we're never more apt than in the tragedy that occurred here 4 years ago on a sunny Wednesday morning. Greater love is known than this, than he laid down his life for his friends. These words help to frame why we're gathered here today. That is to honour Brian and Mark, two heroes who made the ultimate sacrifice for their fellow man. We are here to honour their services to humanity, their fellow firefighters and their community. We are here to pay tribute to their memory by remembering their courage and sense of duty. We are also here to assist in the healing process for those grieving and standing here amongst us today. The word hero is defined as any man or woman admired for their courage, nobility or exploits, or any person who is admired for their qualities or achievements and regarded for their ideals as being a model. Firefighters have long been admired for these traits. Brian and Mark are heroes for placing themselves in situations of risk and danger for the benefit of saving others. There is an inherent and inbred sense of helping others that is in the makeup and personality of a firefighter. A firefighter would attempt to move heaven and earth to prevent disaster or save a life. We are here to thank the families of Brian and Mark and the sacrifice that these two families have made. There are no words that can reach out to each of you and surround you like the hug and love of the firefighter you lost. While it is right and fitting that we meet here to remember Brian and Mark, we must also think of the present. It is right and proper that we also remember the living. Those people in the fire service who still fight the good fight on a daily basis. This includes those standing here today who sacrifice themselves, their families and their daytime jobs for the privilege to serve their community. Before I finish, I'd just like to read out a small poem. Brother, when you weep for me, remember that it was meant to be. Lay me down, and when you leave, remember I'll be at your sleeve. In every dark and choking hall, I'll be there as you slowly crawl. On every roof in driving snow, I'll hold your coat and you will know. In cellars hot with searing heat, at windows where indeed you meet, in closets where young children hide, you know I'll be there at your side. The house from which I now respond is overstaffed with heroes gone. Men who answered one last bell did the job and did it well. As firemen, we understand that that's a card in our hand. A card we hope we never play, but one we hold there anyway. The card is something we ignore as we crawl across a weakened floor. For we know that we're the only prayer for anyone that might be there. So remember as you wipe your tears the joy I knew throughout the years. As I did the job I love to do, I pray that you will see me through. I'd just like to thank you for allowing me the privilege to say these few words. I'm truly honoured to stand here as we pay tribute and respect to Brian and Mark. I'd like to close by asking you to keep the families of Brian and Mark in their thoughts and prayers. Thank you very much.
Hard to follow that. Exactly. Thank you for the accurate words. Remember the service a long time. I was with Brian and Mark. I was here on the day when all this happened. I'm going to have to go through my way through this today as best I possibly can, and we'll see how we go. So bear with me and please be patient. Once again, on behalf of Bray Fire Brigade, I would firstly like to thank everyone who has come here today. I know some people have travelled quite long distances to be here. This is the fourth time for most of us to be at this building. I'm sure the families have been here on many more occasions, and to them it probably seems like yesterday since this disaster hit our town. Be aware that this incident has had our fire brigade go through a hugely difficult stage, but as we are a team who depend on each other almost every day, we have the ability to surpass and survive the worst of time. When I see the familiar faces here year after year, I see the resilience, the determination, the fortitude to continue to remember Brian and Mark, who themselves had shown all of these qualities plus many more. I first met Brian many years ago when I joined the service. He was the first to welcome me on board, and from that we became great, true friends. His expertise, his knowledge, his incredible ability to look at everything in a relaxed way was fantastic. His service to the town has not been matched by anyone before or since, and may never be equalled by anyone in the future. Mark is one of the most dedicated, reliable, and honest people I have ever had the pleasure to meet. He had a professional manner and a skill for his job that was second to no one. His commitment not only to the fire service, but to his beloved civil defence. I still reckon he liked those guys better than us. But anyway, I have absolutely no doubt that they are up there now marching winged angels up and down the yard in heaven. When they were called out around this time 4 years ago, they had shown the highest respect for their community, without fear or prejudice. They gave us all. They gave their all to deal with this horrific incident. They didn't have any doubt. They were doing their duty to represent your town, and in doing so, they paid the ultimate price. A strange fact pointed out to me recently by a long-term member of the New York Fire Department. On a percentage basis, we lost a similar amount of firefighters on that day 4 years ago as their department did on September the 11th, 2001. One big difference: their lost brothers have at least been recognised and remembered properly and appropriately by their authorities and government. We as firefighters, as emergency services workers, and as a community must take the embers of this fire and light the way for a safer and better fire service in this country, and we must never witness or permit any individual, any organisation, any local or national government to forget what these great family men gave on that day. I now call, albeit in a difficult financial time, I call on the county and on the town to place a permanent memorial in a prominent location to remember our two people who died so horrifically serving this community. We must also continue to ensure that the reasons for this tragedy become open, become public and common knowledge. We must have a definitive answer to the many questions posed by the families, by the firefighters, and by their friends. The fire service nationally, and indeed internationally, needs to know what happened so that they can learn from this incident. We need to do everything we can possibly do to prevent an occurrence of this ever happening again. It's one of the issues that will only help justify this tragedy. We cannot allow the memory of Mark and Brian to be diluted by the passing of time. We must always look for the best of our emergency services. The men and women of the fire service, the ambulance service, the Gardaí, the civil defence should always be given the absolute best to provide this town with the best service that they can give. Politicians come and go every couple of years, the same promises over and over. They talk about what they achieved. However, I haven't seen too many of them since the cameras went away shortly after the funerals. We will endeavour to continue to wait patiently for all of the aforementioned. At this time, I would like you also to remember firefighter Michael Liston, who also died in a line of duty accident, and indeed all emergency service personnel who have since passed away. I would now ask you all to remember Brian and Mark by observing a moment's silence.
Squad, attention! Squad, stand at ease! Saturdays. Squad, attention. Squad, follow.
Okay, guys, just to finish up, I'd like to thank you all for coming here yet again. It's the same familiar places year after year. And let's say we do really appreciate it. We appreciate your continuing support for us, for the two guys, for our families. We have Mass now at 11:30 in the Holy Redeemer Church, and we obviously welcome you all there and would like to see you all there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Well done.